Welcome back to the channel, Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at 2022, a year in review. Looking back at 12 amazing months of incredible Warhammer. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring this video. More on that later. Goodbye 2022. With that, another year comes to a close. And what a year it's been for the Warhammer hobby. Breathtaking miniatures, best-selling novels, and a new foray into the Imperium's tumultuous past as just a few of the fruits of the last 12 months. Before we embark on a new adventure into 2023, let's take a moment to look back at some of our favorite releases from 2022. So there's a little video to accompany it. We're just going to take a look at the full article. Alright, so January. The year began with the release of a new Genestealer Cults and Adeptus Custodes Codex. Contrasting the Emperor's personal bodyguards with the devotees of the four-armed Emperor, Shadow Throne pitted the golden demigod of Terra itself against the most cunning saboteurs in the galaxy. So Genestealer Cult Codex right off the bat, and then the Adeptus Custodes. Obviously, the Custodes started winning events right afterwards. So while everyone speculated that the Codex was weak, it was actually extremely strong, and it didn't take long for the nerf bat to hit them. And we had the Fury of the Deep box set, which pitted the Idoneth Deepkin up against the Fire Slayers. Sparks flew when the Idoneth Deepkin sank a Fire Slayer hold into Fury of the Deep. The two new heroes emerged from the Fulminating Deep, the Achillean Thrallmaster and the Orruk Flamekeeper. So two great models right here, and a really nice box set as well. This was the first of the battle boxes to include the full rulebook as well for Sigmar, making this essentially a standalone game where all you needed to play was dice. So very cool, and a good step in the right direction. February. The Eldritch Omens box arrived in February, pitting the forces of Chaos against the Waning Eldari. It featured a new Warpsmith and Chosen up against a new Autarch Rangers and Shroud Runners, precipitating a massive update for both ranges over the rest of the year. February also brought Codex Tau Empire alongside a new miniature for Maverick Sub-Commander Darkstalker, as well as updates to railguns that had the enemies of the fledgling civilization quivering. So yeah, this was definitely a big deal. The Tau Codex really changed the meta and completely changed the game. All of a sudden, the Custodes were still strong, but we saw Tau creeping up to the top competitive brackets for 40k. Eldritch Omens was a pretty good box overall. Cool contents in it, but it was overpriced. It was the first box to be priced over $200 for quite some time. Came in at $210 and was a complete flop. Did not sell well at all, even though it had some cool models in it. The Warpsmith model was very cool. The new Autarch as well. And honestly, Shroud Runners, lots of good stuff. The Plastic Rangers. It was just loaded with cool models. The Chosen are amazing. But the truth is the price was just far too expensive. And this thing was a complete flop. It was available substantially cheaper for the months to come. And you can still find this thing for pennies on the dollar. About like 40 to 50% off. Alright, and then on to March. The Eldari ascendancy continued into March with the release of the official miniature of the new year, 2022. The Scorching Avatar of Cain. This living monument was joined by refreshes for classic units like Guardians and Warlocks. So yeah, the Avatar model, absolutely amazing. This thing did win the Model of the Year, so very cool, and was accompanied by a Sigmar box as well. In the mortal realms, blood and ectoplasma were shed at the Daughters of Cain Battle the Night Haunt in Arena of Shades. This battle box contained a new hero hunting High Gladiatrix and delivered the Night Haunt's first ranged unit in the form of the Craven Throne Guard. Scribing away at the sidelines was a Scriptor Mortis, a soul cursed by Nagash to record and condemn all debts to the Lord of Death. So these were some nice releases as well. Obviously, Avatar, very cool. The new box for Daughters of Cain, Arena of Shades, where they fight against the Night Haunt, was very cool as well. The ranged Craven Throne Guard were very nice. Both these characters are really cool. High Gladiatrix, very good in game terms as well. Overall, another great box for Sigmar. And very cool model for Eldari as well. And I want to say that the Eldari Codex was this month as well, because that completely changed the game. Maybe I'll be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure it was. And again, we saw Eldari top competition. Eldritch Storm was very strong, and people thought there was going to be issues with the Eldar being broken. Turned out really not to be the case, with the exception of Harlequins. So Harlequins were completely broken, and they spent the rest of the year trying to sort it out. And, you know, I came down pretty hard on the playtesters and GW in general for basically releasing such a broken codex. because it was very obvious at this point in time that they were taking advantage of power creep, and each book was better than the one that came before it. All right, so moving right along here into April. The skies blackened in April as Tyranid hive fleets unleashed their swarms of ravenous Xenos across the 41st millennium with Codex Tyranids. Leading the invasion was a long-awaited new biomorph, the parasite of Mortex. In Warhammer Underworlds, brave souls braved the darkest depths of Harrowdeep and found themselves in the cruel, mind-bending Nether Maze, a devious box set featuring 2 new warbands, the Tenebrous Shadeborn and the Skittershanks Claw Pack. So this was a cool little release right here for Nether Maze, and then obviously the Tyranids Codex was a big freaking deal. Right off the bat, a lot of the Tyranid stuff was out of print or out of stock for the better part of the remainder of the year. Once again, the Codex was extremely strong. Leviathan was broken, and we saw nerf after nerf coming just to bring them back in line. And still now, at the end of the year, Tyranids and Harlequins are toned way down, still very competitive. Tau and Custodes. Tau are still fairly strong, but haven't been winning that much lately, and Custodes have been completely knocked off of the winner's bracket. So May. The warm weather of May was a siren call for the Sylvaneth. Led by the Alariel's ferocious daughter, the Lady of Vines, she was joined by agile new Gossamed archers in the Echoes of Doom box, which also contained a sneaky new Skaven Deathmaster leading a Greyseer force into the heart of the Akshi forest. The hot weather also forced the gangs of Necromunda out of the sweaty spires and into the breezy outlands with a new starter box, Necromunda Ash Waste. First out of the gate were the Orlok with the new Outrider quads, which they need to keep up with the Ash Waste Nomads and their Dustback Hellamites. So the Echoes of Doom box was pretty cool as well. Obviously a lot of cool models in it. The new tool models that came out, the new characters were very cool. Gossamed archers as well. Overall, again, a really nice box if you're into both those. On the other side of the spectrum, though, as far as Necromunda is concerned, the Ash Waste box was a complete failure, a complete flop. And it didn't have to be this way. It was 100% a failure because of the pricing. This thing was priced at $299, I believe, maybe $295, and was a complete flop. It sold horribly. People were completely turned off towards the game by the price, and then also a lot of the rules that were alluded as having come in the box were not in the box once you got it and opened it, including the vehicle rules for all of the other gangs. So it was just one thing after another. People weren't that impressed by the terrain. It was just a complete failure, and it was all based on the pricing model of Games Workshop. And the truth is, I picked up multiple copies of this box because it's actually loaded with awesome stuff. It was just the price was the issue, and I picked it up for under $150, which was essentially 50% off, which means that they were liquidating these things just to get rid of them, and they were completely breaking Games Workshop's rules because this is still available in the store, and in the United States at least, you cannot sell any Games Workshop products for over 15% or advertise over 15% while they're still available from Games Workshop. And I literally bought these things for 50% off, including tax and shipping. So complete failure, and basically just wanted to liquidate these things. And the truth is, it was an awesome box. It was just priced horribly. So the difference would have been, had they priced it closer to like $225 or $250, they would have sold like crazy. But instead, they overpriced it at $300, and eventually they sold. But the middleman really got stuck holding the bag on this one. Very cool box, but complete failure of a rollout. Probably the biggest disaster for Games Workshop of the year, as far as a new product just completely falling on its face. And now a quick message from this week's sponsor. This video is sponsored by CMOgames.com, where you can get 15% off most Games Workshop pre-orders, and they go live right at midnight Saturday mornings. CMOgames.com offers free shipping on orders over $25 in the US 48, and most orders ship within 24 hours. CMOgames.com has been selling Games Workshop products online for more than 20 years, and customer service is their top priority. CMOgames.com carries the full line of Games Workshop products, including 40k, Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Warcry, paints, hobbies, and tools. Visit CMOgames.com using the affiliate link in the description below so they know you heard about CMOgames.com from Warhammer Man Studios. Now, back to the video. Alright, and into June, the Horus Heresy is the most epic conflict in all Warhammer history. The Age of Darkness box set opened up the gates to sways of new fans with plastic Mark VI Space Marines, Contemptor Dreadnoughts, Spartan Assault Tank, 2 incredible Praetors, and revamped rules as well. The ramifications of the Horus Heresy are felt long into the 41st millennium, and the new Codex Chaos Space Marines was a great reminder that these scars still run deep, and would soon be followed by cultists and mutants. So very cool box right here. Age of Darkness. Again, super pricey, $300, but this one was loaded with products. Overall, good. It was the first official offering by Games Workshop of the game instead of for Horus Heresy. It brought a ton of models from resin into plastic and was the start of a great move in the right direction to essentially eliminate forgeworld and move everything good into plastic and just let them make single little individual models here and there that nobody really cares about, or upgrade shoulder pads, etc. So I think this was essentially a milestone and a huge mark in the right direction for everybody who plays Games Workshop games, as we saw the plastic models start to arrive from forgeworld. So very cool. And then the Chaos Space Marine Codex, very strong as well, and the beginning of the reign of chaos for the year. July, Contrast Paints joined the Citadel color range in 2019, giving hobbyists a new way to paint their miniatures and access a whole selection of paints and possibilities. In July, the range expanded with 26 new hues, including some heavily pigmented paints like Bale Red and Magmadroth Flame, 3 new yellows, and more. A brand new White Scar spray made chasing that perfect white base coat even easier, and the whole shade range was updated with new formulation and 7 new tones, including Targor Rage Shade and Mortarian Grime. So this was a big month right here. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge fan of contrast paints and literally paint with them every single day. And to tell you the truth, now after having picked up the new contrast paints, most of them are not necessary. A lot of them are cool. They serve some kind of purpose. They're very inconsistent. Some of them, like the red and the yellow, are basically just a base and don't really do the contrast thing. And then a lot of the other ones do the contrast thing fairly well, but are essentially just very similar to paints that are already available, or just strange colors that you're not likely to use. So the truth is, with the new contrast paints, there's a handful of them that are really good, but out of 26, I'm talking about one handful, as in one for each finger-ish, so maybe 5. The rest of them, in my opinion, are either redundant or pointless, in a sense. That being said, I did not pick up the new shades, but was very disheartened by Games Workshop. The biggest issue with the shades was not that they reformulated them, not that they claimed they were going to be better. Honestly, the product was already very good and we didn't need an update. The main issue was they shrunk the size of the container down from 24 milliliter shade pots down to 18 milliliter. I saw it come in advance, and honestly, it really annoyed me. Because they didn't change the prices, and in my opinion this was basically just like a massive price increase, and on the backs of claiming that the product was better. I've seen quite a few reviews, not sure that the product is better, not sure that it's necessarily worse either, but I don't feel like there was enough of a change to warrant a massive price increase. And then on top of that, I don't like that they did it as a stealth price increase. Like basically re-releasing them in new containers and trying to make it about the reformulation, when the truth is they really were just jacking up the prices. So that was a very rough month in my opinion for GW. Completely terrible decisions. The one thing in their range that's absolutely perfect was their washes, and I saw no reason for them to reformulate them. So for them to reformulate them, one, not give us notice so we could pick up a bunch of the old stuff if we wanted to just stock up, and then on top of that, putting them in smaller containers as well. This was a real slap in the face, and probably, honestly, out of this entire range, like I said, there's only a couple of these paints that are even nice that I use on a regular basis. So for me, this was just a complete mess. All right, and then on to August. The Realm of Beasts continues to be the focal point of the current events in the Age of Sigmar, as Warcry plundered the depths of the carnivorous Gnarlwood and Heart of Gur. The Rotmire Creed went to war with the Horns of Hashet amongst new terrain and updated rules, gave every warband powerful new reactions. Elsewhere, the Lumineth Realm Lords were guided by the new Sonari Enlightener as they attempted to stop the Curseling's loyal disciple of Tzeentch from unlocking powerful artifacts in the Arcane Cataclysm. Alright, so this was a really rough month for Games Workshop because, again, they overpriced the Warcry Heart of Gur box set. They jacked the price up to $230, and again, it fell on its face. The terrain wasn't all that well received, and to tell you the truth, the warbands were a little kind of meh. I really like the warbands. The terrain has grown on me a lot, and the box set is great. But once again, that $230 price tag made this a complete flop. Lots of people passed on it. People are not that interested in it. And then on the heels of them releasing this new box set, they also released all of the rules for free as well. So it gave people even less incentive to buy the box set, which is great. I think it's awesome that they released all the rules for free and everything, but likely it was because there was some kind of issue behind the scenes. That being said, complete flop right here. I was able to pick up a couple of this box set as well for an amazing deal. But at the same time, the Arcane Cataclysm box came out as well, and this thing, the price was jacked up once again. They had raised the price on this box after keeping it consistent throughout the year, and again, this one completely fell on its face. It was a bunch of rehash models, and then they just put 2 new characters in there behind a paywall. Complete failure on this box right here. And again, just another one in a series of failures. So we start noticing, obviously, that they're releasing tons and tons of big boxes, and they keep falling on their faces as they're raising the prices. September began with the Brave Warriors breaching Space Hulks for clandestine operations. Kill Team Into the Dark herald a whole new era of sci-fi skirmishes, including an incredible new set of modular terrain for ship interiors and 2 totally new kill teams for the Krut Farstalkers and Imperial Navy Breachers. The Leagues of Votann, meanwhile, returned from their 30-year sojourn with a formidable army set that contained the new stunning miniatures like the Legend of Khal, Kinhos Corps of the Hearthkin Warriors, and the Swift Hernkin Pioneers. So yeah, that was the release of the new box. Overall, like the Votann, felt like there were just not nearly enough beards, and overall, like the Into the Dark set, 2 new kill teams, cool new terrain, and they reined back the prices back to where they should have been. So very cool overall, pretty well received, and it was cool to go back Into the Dark. So good month right there. And then October, this year marked the 35th anniversary of Warhammer 40,000, which we celebrate with a nostalgic look back through over 3 decades of grimdark conflict. Bayard's Revenge helped mark the anniversary in time-honored Warhammer 40,000 style. Warhammer Underworlds abandoned Olgu to explore the knotted halls of the Gnarlwood in a new core set featuring the Sons of Velmorn and the Gnarlspit Pack fighting over the treasures of Gur. So again, new Warhammer Underworld set, 2 new warbands, pretty cool models overall, especially on one side. The undead are really cool, the other guys are kind of meh. Bayard's Revenge, very, very cool individual model, 35th anniversary, and also super cool, definitely very popular, and something that everybody should paint up at some point in time. It was very strange to see this come out in October and have a orc getting slayed by the Emperor's Champion. Maybe should have been the other way around, an orc model slaying the Emperor's Champion. November. This month, 2 army sets breathe new life into 2 fan-favorite factions. The Slaves to Darkness charge into the mortal realms with a collection of brutal chaos miniatures spearheaded by an exquisite new Demon Prince kit that will shortly be pulling double duty in Warhammer 40,000 armies. The 41st Millennium welcomed back the serried ranks of the Astra Militarum with Cadia Stan's box, which featured a collection of the finest men and women of the Imperium arranged into command squads of shock troopers, new sentinels, and 2 ordnance teams. So very cool range refresh for the Astra Militarum. Lots of awesome models in there as well, and lots more coming in 2023. Super exciting. And then also the Slaves to Dark box as well. Again, loaded with awesome looking models. There is something to be said about these 2 box sets, as essentially the Cadia Stan's box set ended up just being the new Combat Patrol. So the Combat Patrol is going to be $150. This was priced at $210, and this comes with the Codex and cards. So if you bought the Combat Patrol and then Codex and cards, you would spend like $84 more, and this costs you $60 more. So you basically save $24 by buying the Astra Militarum box set, as opposed to buying all of the contents in the Combat Patrol, buying the Codex, and buying the cards. So in my opinion, not a great box set in hindsight. Cool and everything, but as soon as you realize that it's basically the Combat Patrol with the Codex and cards for another $60, you realize it's actually just not a good deal. And as far as the Chaos box as well, tons of awesome new cool models. The problem with this box set is the model count. There's not a lot of models in it. Comes with 2 5-man chosen squads, which are absolutely awesome as we see displayed here. Also comes with 3 of the new Ogroids and the Demon Prince. The book, very cool box and everything, but the model count was kind of weak, and to tell you the truth, not a good place if you were like trying to start an army, as you're probably not going to be starting an army with 10 chosen because they're very expensive and not high model count. So cool boxes, cool minis, but not necessarily a good jumping off point as far as bargain price wise, or in the Chaos case, as far as actual composition. And then finally into December, this year was a big one for anniversaries with the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, celebrating its 20th anniversary. We joined the fun with the Battle of Osgiliath, a new starter set for a Middle-earth strategy battle game, which featured gorgeous new miniatures and terrain. So cool box right here, very well received by the community. Price did jump quite a bit, but it seemed pretty popular still. This year was capped off with the release of the Aberrant Ghoul King with Crown of Delusion and Boxing Day release that absolutely oozes personality and gore. So yeah, I mean, the Ghoul King was okay. Cool little art right here. What an incredible year it's been. If you're interested in a tease of what's coming next, we're gazing into the future of Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Horus Heresy, and Black Library. So yeah, we took a look at all those as well. Lots and lots of cool stuff coming. Super excited for Angron and the World Eaters, their new codex. Horus coming to Horus Heresy as well. Very, very cool. And then the new introduction of Vastor, who seems to have some potential roots in future Dark Mechanicum. So very cool stuff coming. Definitely excited for what's to come in 2023. Definitely was not all sunshine and rainbows for Warhammer and Games Workshop. They did quite a few things that were obviously horrible mistakes in advance and then also in hindsight. I have to say the biggest issues though, and the majority of the products that fell on their face were all because of pricing. The truth is, if it wouldn't have been for the greed, specifically in the case of like Ash Waste and stuff like that, Necromunda could have seen a massive boost and just really taken off, but it was just completely overpriced. And Warcry, we saw pricing issues, and then we even saw them eventually bleeding into like the Sigmar boxes instead of just the 40k boxes. So overall, great year, awesome models, probably one of the best years to be a Warhammer fan, player of the games, etc. But the truth is, it was not all, you know, the pretty picture that Games Workshop paints it to be. They also don't mention that their stock fell basically at one point in time 50% from the all-time high and is slated to finish the year down around like 20-something% or so. So hasn't been a great year for Games Workshop investors the same way it has been for players. But that's it for our year-end wrap-up. A little bit of opinions in there as well. Let me know what you guys think. Always like to hear back from you. What was the most exciting model or release for you? What was the best model of the year? I know a lot of people voted on it and the Avatar won. But for you personally, and what are you most looking forward to going into 2023? Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring this video and many others throughout the year, and looking forward to that continuing in 2023. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios with our 2022 year-end wrap-up, and I'm out of here.